Hello, good morning everyone. I am Zishan from HGG, that is Harjai Global Gurukul. Welcome to HGG webinar on how to prepare for master's admissions abroad. HGG has been guiding and counseling students for over 15 years and has exponential following of students who are successful world over. With its excellent network and links with a wide range of educational institutes in India and around the world. HGG holds regular seminars, provides advisory services, and promotes joint ventures in new areas of education and growth. At HGG, students are able to procure all services under one roof, right from the selection of the course, visa counseling, and transcultural adaptation. In January 2019, we have opened an office in US, Tampa, Florida, which puts us in a very unique position to assist the students in every way. And our motto is what is the best fit for our student. Our speaker today is an industry expert for education, Ms. Aarti Harjai. She is the founder and CEO of Harjai Global Gurukul with over 15 years of experience in guiding students and professionals alike for their educational needs in India and abroad. She has done her master's in social work from Delhi University and business communication technology from Sunnyvale Community College, California. Before we go ahead, I want to inform everyone that we will be having a 20-minute question answer session. Kindly drop your questions in the chat section below. We will be addressing them at the end of the webinar. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Aarti Harjai to give us an overview on decoding the master's admissions process abroad. Over to you, Aarti ma'am.
Thank you very much, Zishan. Good morning, everyone. Well, the first question that comes to everybody's mind when they think about studying, especially for their masters abroad, is why? Why would they invest their valuable money, time, and energy into an education abroad? And also, when is the right time to invest in an education abroad? And thirdly, most important, as to where, which country and which university do you decide to go and study abroad? So, to answer the first question, why? Well, I think studying abroad is definitely a value addition, right? It it definitely is your investment of time, money, and energy, where you are going to get the return on investment, because you are getting an exposure of not only of the best of the university, the best of the facilities worldwide in universities abroad, and the best of professors, but most important, from your cohort and peer group, which is from around the world. So definitely, I think that it does make sense, but I want to definitely tell you here that though all the top universities, most of the top universities are situated in the US, in the UK, in Singapore, Australia, Canada. But yes, in India, back home, we do have the IITs and IIMs, but we all know how difficult it is to get into them. But yes, if you get into them, nothing like it. Then, then as I said, it is not only about the education, it is about moving away from home, away from your country, and learning the experience of managing yourself. So yes, that is my answer to the question why. Now, if you look at when should you be preparing, well, the time is right when you think it is right. That is the first thing. I think if you're going to study for an MS, it does make sense to go directly after your bachelor's. You needn't take a gap. But if it is an MBA, I always advise my student to take at least 2 years of experience minimum before venturing out into for an MBA, because all top schools worldwide require experience. And in an MBA class, it is more what you learn, from seniors within your class rather than just from lectures. Now, if you come to the third, that is where, that is also extremely important, because a country is decided by keeping three factors in mind. The first and foremost, what is your long-term plan? Do you want to study, work, and settle? If yes, you have to choose a country that has rules that allow you to stay back. For example, UK, Canada, and Australia are the three countries as of today who are giving, after a study, a work visa as well as a PR, whereas other countries may not give it. Therefore, you have to keep your long term plan in mind. Second is the budget. The budget is also extremely important. We all know Australia and US are extremely expensive, whereas Europe, UK, Singapore, you could do in half the budget of what you would spend in countries like US and Australia. And specifically for an MBA, I would say you choose either a top university or a top city, because a city will give you the exposure to companies and headquarters of various financial and otherwise institutes as well. Or it should be a top university if it is in an obscure place. Just to give you an example. Now, Greenwich University may not be an absolute top university, or New York State University may not be a very top university, but one is situated in New York and the other is situated in London. So if you can get into a decent university situated in a good city, you definitely have great career ahead. Or if you're going to a top university like Warwick, which is in Coventry, a very obscure place, but it's a top university, so the location doesn't matter. Same for Wharton Business School. The location is not going to matter because you're going to the top. So yes, that's your answer to the why, when, and where. Next. So the next is very important. That is, what is the best fit MBA or MS for you? Well, here, students and professionals who are here today, I would like to say there are 4 very important factors that you should keep in mind while deciding the right university for yourselves. First of all, when you complete your course, what are your post masters or MBA's goals? What do you plan to do on completion of the masters? For example, just to give you an example, now if I'm going for an MBA and I ultimately want to have my own startup, I would rather choose a university which has an incubator cell, like maybe University of Manchester or NYU Stern, because they have incubator cell where you can try out your startups. And if my aim is simply to work for a financial institute, then maybe I want to go for an Aston University in UK, or maybe I want to go to US to Northeastern University. So, it is extremely important for you to decide what your post MS or MBA goal is. So for engineering, I'll just give an example. For engineering, we all know that in US, the universities which are really, I don't want to talk just about the top universities like MIT, etc., which are the absolute top, because I strongly believe, and this is what our ethos at HGG is, what is the best fit for the student. So everybody is not the top 1%, but there is a place for each student, as long as you're getting an education which is good and which fits in with what you want. So that is most important. So as I said, MIT is absolute top for engineering, but then you also have other engineering, universities, which may not be the absolute top, say Arizona State, or maybe you go to San Jose University, or in UK you have others like maybe Southampton, which is really good. Comes in top, but even universities like Coventry. So these are very good universities. And if they are the best fit for you and if they give you the industry exposure, then why not? Now, just to give you all an example here, De Montfort University in UK has a very good connection with HP for all their students who study internet networking and computer science courses. So this university is not top ranked, but if you see how their If you see the ratio of students who manage jobs on completion, it is extremely high. And that is what we are all looking at the end of the day, good careers. So the second point, which is ranking and accreditation, I want to tell you all out there, ranking and accreditation is extremely important, but please do not get carried over. Do not get carried over just by the rankings, because ultimately, you know, you have to keep a balance between location, between ranking, between alumni network, between how the resources and facilities of the universities, and the connection of the universities to companies, and most important, the investment required, because at the end of the day we are all looking at ROI, right? And when you look at rankings also, I'd like to advise all of you, well, for US, always look at US news. That is something that you can always depend on. And in UK, we have the Complete University Guide, which is again very much kind of endorsed by the UK government. And you have the QS rankings for the rest of the world. So these are the standard rankings that you should look at. Now, let me come to the next question. I can see a lot of questions coming in, but no, please move back to the earlier slide. I was still, I'm talking about the class diversity right now. So you have to see the class profile and class diversity. So do you fit in? Do you fit in? This is true not only for MS, but also for MBA. So are everybody in the class, are they all 30 plus? And if I'm just a 24-year student, I'm not going to fit in. Or if it is students, I'm going to an engineering college where all the students are only the top cadre and I do not fit in, or the students are not very great, I do not fit in. So you need to look at all that, right? And alumni network, as I've already said, this is your alma mater is ultimate, because it's not so much in India, but abroad, believe me, a reference holds everything. A reference is everything. Yes, next please. So when you come to the next slide, that is, what does the university want to see in an application? Well, again, I want to tell you all, besides the GPA and the exams, that is, your grade point average, that is going to be of the 4 years or the 3 years of your undergrad, plus your exams, which are, of course, the GRE, GMAT, IELTS, TOEFL, whatever it is that you're giving. Besides these, we have what we call the profile, which is of extreme importance. So the first step is to cross the filters. The filter is simply your GPA and exams. And then is your profile, which is of utmost importance. I want to tell you all out there, especially if there are college students attending this, and especially if there are first years, I mean, you could really benefit by following what I am here to share with you today. For your profile building during your 4 and 3 years of undergraduation, you must make an effort to do things not only in the classroom, but outside of your classroom. For example, assisting your professors in teaching. Maybe if you're in second or third year, you could teach the first years for certain portions and certain modules. Then shadowing professionals that you say, I'll give you an example, because I know there are a lot of engineering students to hear today. If you are an EXTC student, for example, or an IT student, engineering, but ultimately after your engineering, you want to go into data analytics, what will you do? Take up projects for data analytics, have internships, do internships between each year of your engineering or undergraduation, whatever you are doing. So have these short internships. And I want to tell you all, please do not look at the remuneration at the point when you're a student, because when you gain by working in an organization, whether it is a startup or whether it is a multinational or even a mid-sized firm, the value addition that you will do to your profile will be invaluable to you throughout your life. Because your mind is fresh, you can soak up everything they teach you, and it reflects on how committed you are to becoming who you want to become. So, that's how you can build your profile. Besides that, you could have a blog, do some social work, be associated with, Lions Club, or maybe your college has a club. So there are a million ways, but this is what universities abroad really like to look at. That is the profile. Next, please. So now, how are they going to look at your profile? I'm going to speak quite a bit on this because I get a lot of student questions on this. So they are going to look at your essays and recommendations, and that is how they will understand who you really are. So outside of your GPA and your exam, your GRE, TOEFL, etc., outside of this two most important documents are your essay and your recommendation. They definitely have to be an honest evaluation. Now let me first talk about the essay. So what does the university want to see in an essay? Well, they want to see how you are the best fit for the university. And how will they know this? It's very simple. They will know this only and only from your in-depth research into the university and how you have reflected it in your essay. So I had a student who wanted to join a particular university because they had a cigar club. There was another who wanted to join a particular university because they had a golf club. Now, besides talking about all these hi-fi things, there could be a lot more. There could be, as I said in the beginning, incubator cell. There could be, something to do with a group for women's lib. There could be an India club. There could be a lot that you have to kind of see what fits in best with you. And most important, professors. Now, from SPIT itself, I had a student. I'm going to play their videos later. And he happened to be reading a book which was in his portion. And the university he was applying to, the writer of that book was teaching in that university. So that was amazing. He could bring this out. But how will you bring it out? Only if you've done your research, right? And nobody can do it for you. I, as a counselor, will guide you that this is what you have to do, but the hard work you have to do on your own. Okay. So, so it has to be unique, very specific. We don't want anything generic. Oh, I did this, I'm great, I'm this, I'm that. No, they want specifics. They want to know how you've, what are your goals in life, why you want to study in this university, etc., and how you are going to add diversity to the classroom. And definitely, last but not the least, it must be an interesting read and not boring. Yes, I'm sure you all agree with that. Okay, now let's go to the recommendations. Now, recommendation, I have to say, first of all, always choose a recommender with whom you have an excellent rapport and who knows you really well. The reason I say this is, especially if you're applying to, to countries like US or Canada, your recommender is not only going to be asked to upload a recommendation, but they will also receive a very detailed questionnaire about you. And they should know you well to be able to answer that. So therefore, a very good rapport, a very honest evaluation. It should not be, your evaluator should not be talking only about your achievements, but also about your shortcomings, but at the same time, how you overcame them. So I want to tell you all about an example of one of my students. She was a dentist, and during her dentistry, you have to do the 1-year internship. She was a South Indian, and her internship was somewhere in the interiors of Maharashtra, where she needed to speak in Marathi. So though she was a brilliant student, during the first term of her internship, her teacher was very disappointed because she could not take the history of her patients. But what this smart girl did was she picked up the language. She really made an effort, picked up the language, and by the end of the 1-year internship, she was awarded the best doctor ever. So I want to tell you that in the recommendation, the professor said that, that she had this shortcoming, but then she showed her resilience by overcoming it. So I'm just trying to tell you how important a recommendation is. Yes? Okay, let's go to the next, please. Which is what I've done is I've just put together some of the MBA as well as later MS specializations. So I'll quickly go through them. Do not get scared of the names of the universities because I've just put down the top few. So from general management and international management to strategy, consulting, next please, to finance, entrepreneurship, marketing, operations management, IT technology, MBA in IT technology. So there's a whole plethora you could choose from. And how you choose the right MBA? Well, if you can do it yourself, excellent. But if you require help, then we are here as Career Guidance Center as well to guide you on that. Next, please. Let's go and have a look at some of the MS engineering universities. So what I did is I just kind of put down some which are top, some which are medium, some in UK, some in US, across the world. So this is just at a glance for you. So you may not go to the absolute Imperial College London, though this year one of my students has got in admission into advanced engineering in Imperial College London. You may go to Middlesex University and do very well for yourself. For one of my students has done very well studying in Middlesex. So as I said, what is the best fit for you? Now let's look at the next slide, because I'm just going to touch upon the career options for computer science as well as career options for mechanical. First, you can see on screen, from a full stack developer to data analyst to blockchain developer to information security analyst to financial engineering. You can just see the kind of plethora of options that you could have if you wanted to study, a specialization in CS. And this is just a few. Yes. Let's go to the next, which is a lot of career choices after mechanical as well, because these are the two most broad-based branches, out of which you can branch out into various options. So biomechanical engineering to controls, thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, aerospace, aeronautical. There's a whole range, nanotechnology, etc. Excuse me. Yeah, next, please.
Hi, I'm Adrit Shetty and I'll be joining Georgia Institute of Technology in fall 2019 for a Masters in Computer Science. I joined HGG in the second year of my engineering. Right from the profile building phase of my application, I received a lot of support from the team. There was constant guidance with respect to what internships, competitions and other achievements I should be adding to my portfolio in order to stand a chance. Also with respect to GRE and TOEFL, I was pointed towards the best tutors who can give me the incredible marks I required. Aarti ma'am and the team also had constant meetups for the SOP writing and visa interview prep which I required. I believe this personal touch helped me a lot during the admission process. I would like to thank the team for this and would recommend anybody pursuing an education abroad to join HGG.
Next, please.
Hi, I'm Akshat Shetty and I got into the Master of Science in Computer Science course at Georgia Institute of Technology, a highly prestigious university in the USFA. And I would like to thank HGG especially for their contribution in this admission of mine, because in my 3 years of association with HGG, Aarti ma'am especially has helped greatly the profile building, understanding the process, simplification of it, and all this has helped me achieve my dream. So it's a great opportunity for me, and due to this I'd like to thank HGG for their support, especially the team who kept me on my toes with constant reminders about the process, what to do next, how to do it. All these doubts are solved without me taking too many hassles, and for that I'd like to thank HGG and recommend it to any student who's planning to study abroad.
So before I start talking country-wise, I'd like to tell you all, because there are a lot of SPIT students today in the webinar. So both these students were from SPIT, from the IT department. They were from the IT engineering, and they got into not only Georgia Tech, but NYU and many others, top universities in the US, for their course of Masters in Computer Science. And the amazing thing is that they're doing extremely well. Right now, they are in the second year. and they're doing extremely well. And I'm very, very proud of them because they joined me well in advance. That gave me a lot of time to work with them along, with their engineering for their profile building. And they followed all my instructions to the T. And they were really, I would say, model students I had. Yes, I have another third student from SPIT who is studying in Texas, Austin, whose video I'll play in the end. Okay, so now what I'll do is I will just give you a little overview country-wise. I'm going to start with UK because UK at the moment has the highest rate of interest, especially in the past 1 year, because they started with study, get 2 years work visa, and then change to tier 2 visa and get a PR. So this was announced last year and has commenced from 21 this year. So these are amazing factors. The return on investment is definitely assured if you choose UK as an option. One. Secondly, all of you have heard about this second lockdown in UK, which is going on right now. The announcement is that they will be opening all universities for face-to-face contact and classroom study in hybrid format from 8th of March. Thirdly, another announcement, and that is that it is mandatory for every student who is going to UK, of course, to get the COVID test, do the quarantine, etc. But once in UK, your COVID test is for free. They have announced that they are going to vaccinate every student, again, as it is all covered under NHS, and any COVID or otherwise eventuality is completely covered by the National Health Scheme. Very interestingly, the latest news in UK is regarding University of Birmingham. I'm wondering if anybody in the webinar is aware of what has been announced. If somebody is, can you put it in the chat box? What has University of Birmingham come up with regarding COVID? They've come up with something. I'll give you 7 seconds if anybody wants to type in the chat box. I'm going to answer all these questions in the end. Anybody? Okay, this is very latest, so maybe that is why. University of Birmingham has come up with a nasal spray that blocks out COVID. So that's really interesting, and they're going to make it available on counters. Okay, so just to give you a little brief, that, UK has come up, as I said, of the graduate immigration route, which is going to be available, which is available to international students who complete their degree at undergraduate level or above. Okay, and all those who have a valid tier 4 visa at the time of application are going to get the 2-year work visa. So this successful applicants on this route will be able to stay, work, or look for work. So you remember this 2-year work visa, you don't need a job in hand to get it, because they're also calling it the job search visa. So definitely you have enough time to get a good job. And once you are in the graduate route, which is actually a tier 4 visa, you can, after your 2 years, you can convert it into tier 2, which is for a 3-year work visa. And the moment you complete 5 years in UK, you're eligible for PR, which is permanent residential. So that is really an amazing, and I want to tell you all who are attending the webinar that I have taken another webinar on study, work, and settle in UK, wherein I have explained the entire point-based system and how you can get PR. And this has been uploaded on YouTube, our HGG YouTube channel. So you could all go through it, whoever are interested. Okay, let's go to the next country, which is US. Well, US is definitely still the dream destination. And I would say now things are really looking positive, because as you know that the Biden government has said they're going to roll back some of the restrictions that the Trump government brought in. And we are just waiting for the announcements. So it's very, very positive. And US definitely has the top universities worldwide 80% are situated in US. So yes, opportunity wise as well, it is amazing. You all are aware that if it is a STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, or mathematics course, you get a 3-year OPT. Otherwise, it's a 1-year OPT, after which you're in a H-1B visa, which is again in lottery system, which we are expecting big changes now with the new government. Yes. Now, during the COVID, a lot of universities started with free courses. Some of the links are on the screen. NYU started, Harvard started. Otherwise, these universities give a lot of online courses, which are extremely expensive. So definitely, I think, and all of you are aware, GRE, GMAT, 90% universities have waived them for 21 intake also. So not only for 2020, but for 21 as well. Okay, next please. Singapore. Yeah, I was just seeing that Vinita Kini has just put in a question regarding, Singapore. And I will definitely answer to the specific one. But if to talk about generally Singapore, Singapore is home to, though it's a very tiny city, I mean, it's a country city. It is home to top universities like NTU, Nanyang Technical University, NUS, that is National University of Singapore, which also has a tie-up with Dukes in US for delivering the medical program. And we have some of Europe's top MBA schools like INSEAD and HEC, which also have their campuses in Singapore. Besides these, many UK universities have campuses, and Australian universities like JCU, that is James Cook University, also has a campus in Singapore. So it's really a great city to study in. Proximity to India is something that really attracts a lot of students and parents alike. And definitely it's the financial hub of the Southeast Asia. Cost effective, because if you see the fees of top universities like NUS and NTU and compare it to Berkeley and others, you will see that it costs you half. So I think that way also it is very, very cost effective. And Singapore has been very supportive to students during COVID times. I had one student in NTU, one in NUS during COVID, and they were really looked after. I was very amazed how they looked after. In fact, there's a Harvard study on that the whole world should follow the method of Singapore on how they have controlled the COVID. So that's how good Singapore, disciplined and good Singapore is. I'll talk about the specific question later that has been asked. Next, please, we'll go to the next, Canada. Now, I can really talk a lot about Canada, but I'll just give you the most important points, which are one, before I go to talk about Canada, I'll give you the announcements. Anybody who wants to go to Canada to study has to make sure that the university is in the DLI list. There is a list called the DLI list, which is an inspection that the university has gone through with their COVID readiness for their students. So only if they're in the DLI list will you be allowed to go. One. Secondly, again, they are asking for the quarantine as well as the COVID test before going. Now, Canada is also home to a lot of great universities like University of Toronto, UBC, and McGill. But besides this, there are many other good universities where the fees are pretty reasonable. That's what really attracts a lot of people to Canada. The fees are very reasonable, leaving aside the top 2 or 3, but even in the top university, the technical courses are really cheap. It is the management school which is expensive. Just to give you an example, I have a student studying in McGill. She is doing a master's in oral biology, and you can go online and check. Her fees for the master's program for oral biology is 6.5 lakhs per annum. It's unbelievable. Probably a private university in India will actually charge you more than that. Yeah. So, the return on investment is definitely there where Canada is also concerned. So you go for a 2-year master's followed by a 3-year work visa, with which you can procure a visa, a PR. So the route is really set for Canada. So those who are looking at a sure shot PR, Canada is an excellent option, right? And also it's like a backdoor entry to US, because once you get PR in Canada, you could work and travel to US very easily. And of course, we all know that Canada had one of the strictest lockdowns right in the beginning, and that's why they were able to control the COVID. So that also attracts a lot of students to Canada. Next, please. So Australia, which is the last country I'm going to talk about. Now, Australia is coming up, before I go into the details, in coming up with the latest concept of vaccine passports. So students who've got a vaccine, because now all your countries are rolling out the vaccines. So students who've got a vaccine in their country will have no restrictions in traveling to Australia. So that has really been a very interesting announcement. And another interesting announcement that the federal government made was that they're going to revise the post-study work program to include international students who are completing their degrees online. Now, this was also very, very encouraging. So we all know Australia, again, return on investment. But I have to tell you, the investment is high in Australia. It's as high as US. And but the ROI is there. After the 2-year masters, you can get up to 2-year work visa, and then you can apply for PR. But you have to keep in mind that you are in the short skill list, you're gathering your points, etc., while you're studying. The great of it, well, these are the universities that you should really be aiming at. These are the top universities of Australia. And at HGG, I wanted to tell you, we work with all of them. We work with all universities, including all grade of 8. So definitely any students who wants to apply, we are very happy to help you. Yes. Yes, next, I think, next, please. Next, please. Yeah, so my advice to you all. So my advice to you all is that education is definitely the most important non-perishable asset you could invest in. So never hesitate in investing in your education, be it COVID or non-COVID. Secondly, students commencing the education in 21 will now graduate when the entire problem is over, entire economic downturn is over, and the economy is back at its feet. So this is the right time to invest in an education. And even though I would say that, IELTS, GRE, GMAT have been wavered, please keep in mind that for 22, it's all going to come back. This is because the vaccine has been rolled out, and now things are really looking positive, looking up for studying abroad. And my small advice to all of you out there is in this webinar today is just see how you as an individual student have contributed to society during COVID times. Now, last, I'm going to run Kevin's video. Kevin was another student from SPIT, and he was one of the most amazing students I had. And though I got him a referral in Google, just a referral to send in his CV, that's it. But it was with his hard work that he was able to crack it and get an internship in Google Bangalore, which is now helping him to get an internship in California, right? Which is in Cupertino. So this is how, hard work always pays off. So let's play his video.
Hi, my name is Kevin Sijo Purusheri. I'll be pursuing the Masters of Science in Computer Science degree at the University of Texas at Austin from this fall 2019. As soon as I joined engineering, my first inquiry for a study abroad counselor led me to Harjai Global Gurukul. Aarti ma'am and her team's first introduction was more than enough for me and my parents to finalize them as my counselors to help me reach my master's goals. Ever since, their knowledge and foresight has guided me to make decisions that would positively build my profile up, right from short-term weekly plans to long-term yearly goals. All of them were meticulously executed under their purview. Aarti ma'am has played a pivotal role in me gaining industry exposure. She's enabled me to intern at various companies, right from startups to MNCs like TCS and Google. She also pushed me to participate in countrywide hackathons, which has helped me a lot. I credit HGG as a whole for helping me focus on things that boost my candidacy amongst all the misleading suggestions that you would get online. And consequently, I now have the opportunity of pursuing my master's in one of the most prestigious universities in the world for my desired course. I would like to thank HGG, Aarti ma'am, and her whole team for guiding me for the last 4 years. HGG is definitely recommended for anyone who's planning to pursue their further studies abroad.
Yes, so this was Kevin, who was again from the IT section in SPIT. He was from IT engineering. And you won't believe his father came to meet me when his 12th result came out and was in touch with me. And ultimately, when he was in second year, he came to me. So it's been a very fruitful journey with all my SPIT students. And I really hope to get these kind of quality students. Over to you, Zishan. Or
Thank you very much, Aarti ma'am.
yes.
So now we can commence with the question and answer session.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just take over. Instead of you reading out, I will read out and I will answer on the spot.
Sure.
So we have Nikhil asking, should I take work experience for MBA? Yes, surely I think you should, because instead of doing a freshers MBA, it's better to do an MIM, that is a master's in management. You can get into masters of management only if you have either a fresher or have minimum 1 year experience. If you have more than 1 year, you can't even apply to MIM. So therefore your cohort will be similar to who you are. So MIM is better if you do not want experience. So Gaurav Sinha is asking, what will be the expected deadline for fall 21 for universities in US, Canada, UK? Well, let me tell you, UK is getting full like how my number of applications I'm putting in UK has gone up 1,000 times. I don't even know how to describe it. So though UK has no deadlines, but the earlier you apply, the better you are, the more comfortable you are. For US, again, now with Biden being elected, I have seen a surge in the applications. You have to keep a tab online on the deadlines and make sure you do not miss deadlines. And Canada deadlines are already happening. Already a lot of universities, January, February deadlines are there. But there are few you can apply till late as well. So yes, deadlines depend completely on the university you're applying to. So Akshay wants to know, ma'am, can I know which is the best university for computer science? Well, Akshay, I think everybody knows it is Stanford University. Who doesn't want to be in Stanford in US? And in UK, I would say Manchester would be excellent, definitely. And UCL, though it doesn't have the engineering, it has a bachelor in computer science. That would really, UCL also would be absolutely amazing. Okay. Next is Jatin. Is it safe to plan for 21 intake? Now, Jatin, let me be very frank with you. I think with the rollout of the vaccine and seeing the situation, I think definitely it would make sense to plan. But I would say keep your backup plan also ready. Things have been so unprecedented in the past few years that I feel even you should always have plan A, plan B, plan C. So have a backup plan in India, definitely. Is it safe to plan? Yes, Ajit. Okay. Is Queen Mary advisable for public health? Absolutely. Queen Mary, forget about public health. I have a student who did her MBBS from India and went to do her master's in endocrinology from Queen Mary, because for medicine and public health courses, their Bart's Medical School is one of the most well-known in the world. Okay, Vishal, I have 50% marks. Can I plan for studies abroad? Of course, Vishal, you can. As I said, what is the best fit for you? So you may not, in fact, it makes sense to go to a university where you can manage money, but I have to, manage the studies. But I have to say one thing, if you get into a university which is not worth your while on completion of the course, do not go for it. Then you might as well study in India. But with a 50% also, you can get into a good university. Your essay has to be formed likewise to show how motivated you are to now improve in your education. So that is how a counselor can help you, or rather we can help you. Okay. Next is, can I apply for a PR after PGDM in Canada? Yes, you can. I am a PGDM holder from Canada. What are the chances of me getting a job outside of Canada? Very sad. PGDM Canada is mainly for people who want to take PR in Canada. The value is there in Canada itself. Outside of Canada, it doesn't hold much value. Ma'am, do you all help with loan process? Yes, we do. We definitely do. Okay, what is the living expense in UK? It's high. If you go to cities like London, Manchester, etc., it will be 10 lakhs per annum. Some places, London would be as high as 1 lakh a month. But if you go to a city close to the main city, for example, if you were to go to De Montfort University, okay? Now, De Montfort University is situated about an hour and a half to 2 hours from London, in a very small town, which has a very good life, all the malls, everything, good life, stadiums, everything. And the living expense is half. It is 6 lakhs per annum. So a lot would depend also on where you go. Okay. Millen wants to know which master's course would be good for a person from a non-technical background to become a data scientist. Okay. Which master's course would be good? So I want to tell you that if you have a bachelor's degree in commerce, you can still apply for a business analyst and a data analyst course. More for a business analyst than a data analyst. You can apply. I have to see your profile and then guide you further. But you can definitely apply directly. Angel wants to know, do you help with scholarships? Absolutely, I help with scholarships. There's another webinar I've taken, which is on YouTube. You will see one of my students, Raj Gilani. He managed to get, he went for a master's to Cranfield University, UK. And during his master's, he has managed to get in not only an admission in PhD, but a fully funded PhD. So, I mean, he was just in touch with me. He did all the work himself. What you have to do is find the right, guide who is already doing work in the field that you want to do. And it is going to be very helpful to them. So he is working on something that Rolls-Royce turbines, kind of want all his research for. So they are paying not only for his PhD, but also his stay. And definitely we can guide you, but believe me, this is only one on a, not everybody gets it, but yes, I do guide for that. Okay, so the next question is, I want to know how Singapore is an option for studying as well as settling. Now, settling is difficult in Singapore. It's another, but as long as you have a job, you can stay there. PR is difficult, but as long as you have a job, you keep getting visa extension. So if you're looking at PR point of view, I would say choose another country. But if you're okay, you're going there, working for maybe 10 years, then come back, that's absolutely fine. Okay, how do you earn points for a visa PR? Well, that is why I said, see, first of all, I'm an educational consultant. I would not be the right person to answer that. But yes, I do have an overview and I've given it for UK. For Canada as well, I think you should contact a proper PR consultant. Sorry about that. So which country universities is easy to get into? USA or Canada? It would be completely dependent on your personality and your funds, these two things. For US, you need high funds. Canada, you could go with lesser funds. Canada, you don't have a visa interview. US, you have a visa interview. You've really got to prepare well for. So it would depend. Which is the best university or brand for brand management? Well, again, it would depend which country you're talking about as to which would be the best. So I would say, in UK, probably for brand management, I would look at Aston, I would look at Warwick, I would look at Birmingham, I would look at all these universities, all schools which are business schools, basically. London Business School, of course. Yes. So, okay, Rohan wants to know if it is possible to get into an Ivy League university. Why not, Rohan? You've seen 3 students of mine who got into Ivy Leagues. All you have to do is work hard. That's it. So Sharmila wants to know, do you work with Ivy League? If yes, could you please list some names? I want to tell you, I'm so glad somebody asked this question. So I want to tell you, no Ivy League university in the world works with consultants for promoting them. No Ivy League. So universities like London Business School, Imperial College London, Oxford, Cambridge, UCL will never work with a consultant. University, no matter who the consultant is in the entire world. Or if you look at top universities in US like Harvard, Stanford, MIT, and NYU, all the top schools, they will never work with consultants. So if you want counseling for an Ivy League university, you go for paid counseling. Yes. So, and I am a specialist for Ivy League university admissions. So if you have because see, for getting admission in Ivy League, you need 2 things. Only then it's worth it for you to go to a counselor. One, you need to have huge budgets because all these universities, the fees is extremely high. Secondly, you have to have excellent profiles and GPA. I'll just give you example. For these students that you've just been through, their pointers were 9+, average of 4 years. Their GRE scores was like 331, etc. Okay, and their profiles were crazy. So these are the kind, only if you have all this, then you come to a counselor, spend your money, because it is expensive. Ivy League counseling is an expensive proposition. Okay, so do you work with so Devansh wants to know, ma'am, how do we convince our parents about our safety in US, especially in states like Texas? There are a lot of cases of discrimination. I want to tell you, this is really an interesting question, Devansh, and I'm very happy to answer it. I want to tell you, Devansh, that discrimination is there everywhere, including India. There will be social discrimination, economic discrimination, discrimination by caste. Discrimination is everywhere. You have to know how to handle yourself, no matter where you are. You have to know who do you have to mix with, who you do not, where do you have to go, where you should not go. So it's all how you handle yourself. Yes, definitely some areas are where you shouldn't be going because those are those kind of areas. So I would, in my 15 years of counseling, I can tell you this, that if the student knows how to handle himself, you will never face any issues. You will not. Okay. So Prateek wants to know, ma'am, what is the best time to start preparation for exam and when to apply? Well, the best time to start preparation is when you are in first year of your bachelor's. Last you should start is third year. After third year, if you come to me in fourth year, you'll just get whatever is left from the universities. You won't get the best. So if you are in first year, you can start your counseling. Second year, you can start your counseling. Third year, you can start your counseling. And regarding your preparation, I think your GRE, GMAT, all are valid for 5 years. Okay, so give it when you're in third year. Start preparing in second year, even first year. Some students start in first year also. Start the preparation, but give it when you're in third year. Now, IELTS, TOEFL are valid only for 2 years. So you can give it at the time when you start putting in the applications, which is end of third year, beginning of fourth year. Okay, that's when. Okay, so the next question is, ma'am, can you please name the best 3 MBA schools for MBA abroad? Okay, I'll do that. Harvard, Stanford, INSEAD, and HEC. 4 I've mentioned. And LBS, yes, why to miss out on London Business School? How should our profile look like for an admit in MSCS for Stanford or CMU, Carnegie Mellon? Well, I want to tell you, I've had students with lesser pointers getting into CMU because all these 3 students had applied to CMU but didn't get in. And I think because their undergraduate degree was IT, because I've seen students with lesser pointers getting in. So, what I could suggest, the profile has to look like what these students had, excellent, absolutely. It has to be, so you have to be good, of course, at everything, but there has to be a spike in your profile. You understand the meaning of spike? That means that you are going to excel at one particular thing. You'll be good at everything, but you're going to excel on one particular thing, and then you're going to really explain how you're so good at it. Okay, for example, one of my students wanted to just study in blockchain, and in his internship also, he studied all about blockchain, did his project in blockchain, everything. So you focus on one thing, but be good at everything. That's the trick. What is okay, this is done. Okay, what is recommended MIS in CS or MS in CS? Masters in Information Systems is a degree which combines technical and management, whereas MS is pure technical. So it would definitely depend on your choice, what you want to do. It would depend on what you want rather than what is better. Both are good. Does any abroad university provide short-term free courses? There are a lot of short-term free courses, but they're online, and I had put them in my webinar. You can email and we can email back to you. Okay. Which university in US are good for masters in machine learning? There are lots. Northeastern, Stanford, of course, the top, MIT, lots of Boston University, lots of others. If you want to match it up with your profile, you have to come to me separately. How would I build up our profile for better chances to get in? As I've already said, there's lots you can do. You can write a blog, do internships, shadow a professional, do some social work, do teaching assistantships. So all this is what you can do, which I've talked about. How difficult is to get admitted in IVs like Georgia Tech, and how should our profile be for these? Well, I think these are repetitive, but as you've seen, I'm sure by now that these, you need to be excellent. Achha, I want to tell you all one thing, which is extremely important, because you all have asked me this question. I want to tell you, if you have excellent profile, okay, that means you've done a lot of internships, you've won a lot of hackathons, you've done tons, but your pointer is less, you're not going to get the admit. And I want to tell you, because all Ivy League universities follow the policy of complete, what they call is risk minimization. They don't want to take the risk of taking a student with a lower GPA. So that is why I said first you have to cross the filter. So if your GPA is anything less than 8.5, do not apply to an Ivy League. Or rather, I would say less than 8. Less than 8, do not apply to an Ivy League. You're not going to get in, because they will look at the GPA is the most important thing, which a lot of times students forget. It's really important. Okay. So the next is how difficult it is to IVs. Okay, this is done. When it comes to expenses with respect to accommodation, which country is expensive? Okay, UK is expensive in living in the cities. US is not so expensive. Australia is quite expensive in living. Most expensive I would put for living is Australia, and then UK. Is UK again only cities, as I gave you the example. In abroad, where do we Indians stand in the priority list when it comes to getting a job? Let's be very frank. Obviously, you do not stand a chance in front of locals, but listen to my answer carefully. But if you go to a country that gives you the work visa automatically, like UK and Canada, then you are not left in the lurch. You have the time to look for a job. So that's what you need, because you have to prove yourself against the locals, right? So the rules should be in your favor. That is important. When you choose the university, the rules post finishing the completion of the education should be in your favor. Yes, does a GP of IT graduate from SPT has a lot of weightage during the admission in the business school? Yes, absolutely. Be it business school, non-business school, your pointer is of great importance. I think I've answered, we've overshot the time of the webinar. So I think I'll give it back to Zishan, but I really enjoyed speaking to you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Aarti. So that's a wrap to this webinar. I would like to thank Ms. Aarti Harjai, SPIT, and the attendees for joining us. We will be answering to all the questions asked in the chat section on your mail, and also do not hesitate to contact us for any queries either by mail or on the phone. We are taking one-on-one counseling on Zoom, and also you can visit our office. Our details are displayed on the screen for your convenience. Thank you and have a nice weekend.